So let us see our next question. For imports from United Kingdom, P Ltd of United States of America owes pound 6,50,000 to London Ltd. Payable on 20th of May, and it is now 12th of February. And the spot exchange rate on 12th of February is $1.4850 per pound. The following futures contract size is 62,500 pound, are available on the Philippine exchange. Futures contract have been provided to us having expiry of the month of May and having expiry for the month of June. This is the futures rate. Illustrate how P Ltd can use futures contract to reduce the transaction risk. If on 20th of May spot rate is $1.5030 per pound and June futures is trading at $1.5120 per pound. Then B question is given. We'll read B question later on. I want you to go through the question. Just go through the question and then we'll discuss how to do it. Let us have understanding of the information of the question. The question is providing the information. Let's say there is a company called P Ltd. It is a company of United States of America. It has entered into the transaction for the import of the goods, and for that the payment is required to be made in UK pound currency, 6,50,000 pound. Lot size is provided to us as 62,500 pound, and today's date is provided as say the 12th of February. The question is providing the information that say there is a spot exchange rate of 1.4850 dollar per pound. That is a spot exchange rate is given to us. Then the question is providing the information that say the futures contracts are available for the month of May and for the month of June. For both of them, say the futures rates have been provided to us as $1.49 per pound and $1.4960 per pound once again. The question is providing the information that say illustrate how P Ltd can use futures contract to reduce the transaction risk. If on 20th of May, that is the date on which you are required to make payment for the consideration, the spot exchange rate is $1.5030 per pound, and June futures, okay, again the futures contract rate is provided to us. However, this time the information is provided only for the month of June. Is provided to us as 1.5120. Again, it is dollar per pound everywhere, so I have not mentioned it. And we are required to understand and say how we can use the futures contract for the purpose of hedging the foreign exchange risk. So that is what now I am going to have a discussion with you. So friends, over here, how we are required to calculate the answer, let us see. Today, that is on 12th of February, we have to enter into the futures contract. We can see that so the two futures contract rates have been provided to us. One is for the month of May and another is for the month of June. However, later on 20th of May, we have been provided with the futures contract rate only for the month of June and not for the month of May. That is the reason, say we cannot enter into the futures contract for the month of May. Otherwise, we would have like both kind of possible answers in which say we can enter into the May futures or June futures. Why the futures rate as on 20th of May is required for the month of May, that we are going to discuss say in the coming portion of the question. Right now I will not be able to give that detailed explanation, However, once we will make the computation of the answer, you will definitely come to know that on 20th of May, since May futures rate have not been provided to us, we cannot enter into the May futures right now on 12th of February. We have to enter into, say, only the June futures. Now, what kind of the futures contract? That's very simple. Nothing is great in that. We are a US company and we have imported goods. So the futures contract in which we would be interested is sell of dollar and purchase of pound. Importantly, you can see the question is providing the lot size information, 62,500 pound, and the consideration is 6,50,000 pound. So kindly use your calculator. 6,50,000 divided by 62,500, that comes to 10.4 contracts. So we understand that, say, we can enter into either 10 contracts or 11 contracts. Entering into either number of the contracts is absolutely acceptable from examination point of view. Randomly I am entering into 10 contracts. Why 10? For that there is no reason. If somebody has a point that, sir, I want to enter into 11 contracts, is that acceptable? The answer is yes, you can. However, right now I am doing answer taking into account the 10 contracts, and US company will enter into June futures for sell of dollar and purchase of pound for 10 contracts. So let us answer the question. First point. In this question, from P Limited point of view, in bracket write down a US company point of view, bracket over, we have to calculate amount payable in dollar currency to make payment for import in pound currency. Second point, today, in bracket write down 12th of February, we can enter into any futures contract expiring after 20th of May, full stop. However, on 20th of May, we have been given futures rate only for June, full stop. So futures contract will be entered upon only for June and not May. Third, today futures contract for June is entered upon for sell of dollar and purchase of pound at the rate of 1.4960 dollar per pound. Full stop. This contract is entered upon for 10 contracts. Full stop. In bracket write down 6,50,000 pound divided by 62,500 pound is equal to 10.4. In that write down further, instead of 10 comma entering in 11 contracts is also acceptable. Full stop. This is what we understand. So friends, we understand that basically the answer that we have done is like this. Now I am dictating the answer. Step number 1, the above is note. Now step number 1, in that write down P Limited, US company, will enter in June futures contract for sell of dollar and purchase of pound. This is a futures contract. Number of contracts 10, that is 6,50,000 divided by 62,500. So this company, that is a US company, will enter into the June futures contract for sell of dollar and purchase of pound. Number of contracts are 10 instead of 10.4 at the rate 1.4960 dollar per pound. This is the first step. Step number 2. Let us understand it. So what is the second step? Most importantly, friends, the second step is the square off of original futures contract on 20th of May using the new exchange rate, or we can say that the futures rate prevailing on 20th of May for the month of June. Do not write anything. Let me explain to you first of all. What will happen on 20th of May? You are required to square off the original futures contract. Listen me carefully. See, on 12th of February, the futures contract was entered upon for the month of June for sell of dollar and purchase of pound. What is the lot size? 62,500. How many contracts? 10. That comes to 6,25,000. Okay. Now on 20th of May, you are required to square off this contract. How do you square off the contract? You will square off the contract by entering into simple reverse of the original futures contract. So it is sell of pound 6,25,000 and purchase of dollar. Original futures contract was entered upon at the rate of 1.4960. So 1.4960 into 6,25,000. So product of this two comes to 9,35,000. So this is the amount of the dollar that you have to sell. And you will purchase dollar. How much dollar are you going to purchase? For that, say you have to refer this working. You can see that the question is providing the information that on 20th of May, the June futures are trading at 1.5120. So over here it is 1.5120 into 6,25,000. So 1.512 into 6,25,000. So that comes to $9,45,000. Dear students, the purchase dollar means you are going to receive, and sell dollar means you are going to pay. Purchase is more than sale, so you have ultimately a profit of $10,000. And importantly, we understand, so this profit of $10,000 will be received by you on 20th of May itself. So in step number 2, we will have the answer like this: square off of original futures contract on 20th of May. And when I speak that say you are going to square off, it means that say you are going to enter into the reverse of the original futures contract. Original futures contract was sell dollar, so now you are going to buy dollar. And for that, so the rate which is prevailing, say on 20th of May for the month of June will be applicable. Everybody stop writing, let me explain you further. Step number 3. In step number 3, we will be having spot transaction on 20th of May. What is the spot transaction? Do you know, friends? It is sell of dollar and purchase of pound. How much? 6,50,000. In a way that say basically on 20th of May, you are entering into two transactions. One, you are going to purchase say United Kingdom pound at the rate of spot rate. So you are going to purchase pound at the rate of 1.5030. So it is dollar pound 1.5030 dollar you are going to purchase for every 1 pound. So we understand that say for purchasing 6,50,000 pound, you have to sell this amount of dollar. So what will happen? 6,50,000 into 1.5030 divided by 1 does not make any sense. So 6,50,000 into 1.5030, so 976,950. So we understand that this is what's the amount of the dollar that you have to sell to purchase the pound. On which date? It is on 20th of May. So on 20th of May, two transactions are entered upon. One is purchasing of the pound from the spot market, and another is the square off of the original futures contract. We can see that there is a profit that you have been able to make. So finally, step number 4. calculation of overall cost to P Limited. It will be calculated like this: amount paid in spot transaction minus profit in futures. What is the amount paid in spot transaction, friends? It is 976,950. And what is the profit in futures? 10,000. So what is the final answer? 966,950 United States dollar. That is the way the overall cost to P Limited is calculated. This is the way we are required to do answer. First of all, I want you to write the answer, and then I am explaining the logic that how the hedging is done. Because what happens, that's a number of times I come across to a question that, sir, I have understood the transaction, but where is hedging? Because over here I don't see that there is any hedging, because we have to purchase the pound at spot rate, and it may happen that the spot rate is very high and we have to purchase pound at a substantially high rate. But how hedging is done, I just explain that to you in 2 minutes. First of all, you write this answer. Before we have the discussion about the hedging concept, I am dictating a note to you. Write on a note. First point. In second step, comma, original futures contract is squared off. Full stop. For this, futures rate prevailing right now is required to be applied. Full stop. Next, above cancellation slash square of original futures contract will bring either profit or loss in home currency or in foreign currency. So friends, this $10,000 of the profit that we have, instead of that, say we may be having the profit or loss in the pound currency. Third, if at all above profit or loss is in foreign currency, comma, it will be adjusted to foreign consideration full stop. After that, in spot transaction, we will buy or sell foreign currency. Full stop. So this is the way we are required to make the computation of the answer. So let us have now understanding. Everybody is requested to properly pay attention. The process of doing answer is very simple. Step number 1, enter into the futures contract for the month of June for sell of dollar and purchase of pound. Step number 2, square off of the original futures contract on 20th of May. That is the date on which, say, you are going to make the payment of the consolidation. This profit or this loss may be in the domestic currency or it may be in the foreign currency. In step number 3, we understand that, say, whatever the profit or loss, if it is in the foreign currency, it will be adjusted to the 6,50,000, and then say we are supposed to buy 6,50,000 pounds, say, from the spot market, and we will make payment of the same, say, to the supplier. Over here, say the profit in the futures contract is in domestic currency, so that profit is subtracted, say, from the amount payable, and with that, say, the overall cost is calculated. Now importantly, the students have a point that, sir, over here instead of 10.4 we have entered into 10 contracts. Then what about the remaining 0.4 contracts? In a way that, say, we have entered into the transaction for less amount of the pound. Then for the shortfall, we are supposed to enter into forward contract. Is it like that? The answer is no. What happens that, say, over here, so there are two separate things. One is you enter into the futures contract and then you square it off. And whatever the amount that, say, you have to pay, so that amount is purchased, say, from the spot market. So there is no question of the shortfall or surplus that we have. So that is what's the first query to which I come across. The second very important query is that, sir, I have understood the transaction, but I don't understand the logic. That is, sir, ultimately we have to purchase the pound from the spot market. Then in that case, we understand that, say, there is a huge risk to P Ltd. That, say, the pound currency will appreciate substantially and we will be incurring a loss in a way that, say, purchasing of the pound will be very expensive. The answer is no. It will not be like this. How? I just explained that to you. Suppose, for example, the pound currency substantially appreciates and 1 pound is equal to $5. Use a calculator along with me. 6,50,000 into 5. So we can say that, say, instead of 9,76,950, you are required to make payment of 32,50,000 United States dollar for purchasing 6,50,000 pound. I agree with that. This is the amount to be paid, so I am showing in the bracket. Now importantly, friends, we understand that the forward exchange rate, futures exchange rate, is connected to the spot exchange rate. So we understand that, say, on this date, when you square off this transaction, then can we say that, say, this rate would also be influenced with that $5 per pound? So let us just make an assumption, simple, that it is 5.10. Okay. So again use a calculator. 5.10 into 6,25,000. So what are you able to receive? I'm sorry, this rate. I'm sorry, this rate will change. This is 1.496. Instead of 1.5120, let us say it is 5.10. So use your calculator. 5.1 into 6,25,000. So can we say that it is 31,87,500? This is the amount of the dollar that you will receive, and you have to pay only 9,35,000. So the amount of the profit is huge. The amount of the profit is 22,52,500. This is the amount of the profit that you have, and this is 22,52,500 minus 32,50,000. So it is 9,97,000. 9,97,500. So you can see that the expense is always going to remain very near to the answer that we already have calculated over here. In spite of the fact that the pound currency substantially appreciates or the pound currency substantially depreciates. Because if at all the pound currency substantially depreciate, then in that case for you, purchasing of the pound from the spot market will be very cheap. You can buy at a very low rate. So you are very happy with that. But of course we have to understand once again that in futures you will be incurring a huge loss. And because of that, your cost of purchasing pound will be very near to this answer. Suppose the exchange rate is 1.10. So again use your calculator. 6,50,000 into 1.1. So you can purchase a pound at just $7,15,000. Over here what will happen? Instead of 1.5120, let us say it is 1.12. Okay, I am just taking like very near figure. So 1.12 into 6,25,000. So that comes to 7 lakhs. You have to pay 935. Yes. You will receive 7 lakhs. Yes. So it is 2,35,000. This is what you have to pay. So it is 2,35,000. So the total is going to be 9,50,000. So again your cost is going to be near to that. This is what we understand. See, this method of the hedging is not like money market hedge or forward market hedge, where you will have a fixed cost. However, you will be able to hedge substantially. That is what we understand. One important aspect over here is that in case of the futures contract, as it is exchange traded, so you cannot have the hedging for the amount for which there is an amount to be paid to the importer. Amount to be paid to the exporter. You will not be able to get exactly the amount for which you have to, make payment in the foreign currency. That contract is not available because it is not on one-to-one basis. It is through the exchange traded. Second thing, you cannot have the futures contract to expire or the futures contract exactly for 20th of May. We understand that you will be able to get the futures contract on monthly basis, which will expire at the end of every month. That is the reason you will not be able to do the hedging as what we do in case of the forward market hedge or money market hedge. Another important aspect, all of you must have understood now, that in order to square out the original futures contract, you require the new futures rate prevailing on 20th of May for the month of May, if at all earlier futures contract was entered upon for May, which is missing in the question. So we did not have a choice but to enter into the June futures. If at all May futures rate would also have been given on 20th of May, then you have a choice either to enter into the futures contract for the month of May or for the month of June. You may enter into 10 contracts or you may enter into 11 contracts. That is the way you have say a liberty so to enter into any number of contracts also and for any of the month also. This is what we understand. B part of the question. The question says that so you are required to calculate the hedge efficiency and comment on it. So, answer for the B part of the question. Very simple. I just explain you how to do answer. Write an answer along with me. Working note number 1. Calculation of amount of payment at spot exchange rate. So we understand that say at spot exchange rate, say what is the amount of payment. For that, say the spot rate on 12th of February is given to us as 1.4850. So we understand that it is 1.4850. It is dollar per pound multiplied with 6,50,000. So that comes to 9,65,250 US dollar. This is what's the amount of the payment at spot rate. Now, calculation of hedge efficiency. Let us understand and say how to make the calculation of hedge efficiency. It is profit in futures divided by expected loss into 100. So basically friends, we understand that in case of the spot, the amount that you have to pay is 9,65,250 and the amount to be paid using the spot exchange rate on 20th of May is 976,950. So 976,950. This is the amount that you have to pay on 20th of May at the spot rate. So in comparison to the existing, the amount of the payment is more. By what amount it is more? Let us check that. So it is more by 11,700. We understand that so the profit in futures that you are able to make is 10,000. So to that extent, your expected loss is reduced. The expected loss is a kind of transaction risk. So you are able to recover loss of 10,000 out of 11,700. So that is the way the hedge efficiency is calculated. So it is 85.47%. Nothing is great over here. Simple it is like the calculation to be made. I just repeat the explanation. We understand that say in comparison to the spot on 20th of May we have to pay 11,700 more. However, since we have entered into the futures contract, we are able to make the profit of 10,000. So from the loss of 11,700, you are able to recover the loss of 10,000. So 10,000 rupees is recovered out of 11,700. So there is hedge efficiency of 85.47%. So this is the way we have to do answer.